Are these twist off?
Those are not twist off. Hey, everybody.
I'll pop it off.
Welcome to the Weird and Whatever podcast, polished as always.
Starting out strong.
You can turn off the damn song, Denny's. How's everybody doing? Let's do a little roll call. We got Mr. Beckett.
Being a bitch boy about opening my beer already.
We got beer tonight. We decided, hey, let's spice this biatch up a little bit.
Let's live a little bit.
Denny's, do you have a beer?
I'm not going to drink a beer.
Everybody on the count of three, point at Denny's and go, boo. 1, 2, 3. Boo. Bitch ass Denny's.
We got to get up early tomorrow.
We do, but I am still drinking. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Denny's will open up the can or the bottle with his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
jeez.
tough.
Yeah, I know.
I know. He does it with his
Oh.
mouth, and he takes pride in doing it.
Yeah.
How's this choppers?
They've been good, man. I've been doing that since I was like 17.
No, that's very impressive. Vicky, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good now.
Okay, pretty good now. Let's get into it. Are you pretty good? Is it awesome? Why are you not awesome? We don't have to go into too many details.
Yeah. Well, I'm like super tired.
Okay.
So today's like the first day that I'm halfway human.
Okay. I mean, beer's a good pick me up.
Yeah. Well, it'll be relaxing.
It will be relaxed.
It is.
Let's just have a couple drinks.
Kick the shoes off.
Yeah, let's let her hair down tonight.
Yeah.
Let's get weird.
Let's do it.
Or
Whatever.
boom. Thank you, Vicky. And the very, very delicious producer, Denny's.
How's it going?
Going good, Denny's.
Very nice.
So I want to start off the program today. I talked about this on our regular show. I have been invited to do an exorcism. Now, I got a lot of not good feedback from people. People were legitimately mad at me for even considering this. I would like to go over the pros and cons of why I would like to do this. I have a feeling Vicky's going to be against it. I know Denny's is very much on the side to do it. I do have some people saying, hey, you should do this. My whole thing is this. This is a 13-year-old girl. I got all of the details. My details were a little fuzzy the last time I talked about it on the air. The girl's 13 years of age. She's been trying to bite her brother, trying to, bite him when he's sleeping. She goes into speaking in tongues. They are pretty certain she is possessed by a demon. There's a million other reasons why. They told me I could go along and I could document it. I'm not going to be a part of the ceremony. All I'm doing
We
is
could be on the sidelines filming it.
yes, I'm going to be recording it just as someone documenting it. Even with that, people gave me
People are saying that the spirit could bounce around the room and possess people in the room that are not even in the circle of what's happening.
I think a lot of times people overreact sometimes on some of this stuff. I'd like to get Vicky's opinion on all of it. What do you think?
Okay. Well, first of all, what documentation do you actually have that this 13-year-old child is possessed? That would be my first question.
They say that they have members of church, a priest, they have ready to do this. The reason why they haven't done it yet is because he had to go out of town. He had some family issues. This is set to go down next week.
Priest from where?
A church.
Catholic church?
Yes. I don't want to say where. I don't want to
Okay.
go into the details.
Because that's practically impossible to get an endorsement from a true Catholic priest from the Catholic Church to do an exorcism. So that right there throws a little bit of skepticism on my part about this being legitimate.
Okay. So is it possible to have a rogue priest?
You can. There are people who are not associated with the Catholic Church who perform exorcisms, absolutely. But my question is, you're dealing with a 13-year-old child, okay? Some of those things could be behavioral issues that are manifesting themselves and not necessarily possession. And I'd like to know what documentation. There are tests that you can give someone to see if they're actually truly possessed.
Like what?
Well, one of the things you do is, if they don't know it, one of the things that you do is before you go see them, you put holy water on your hands and make sure you shake their hand, as long as they don't know that you put the holy water on there. If they have an aversion to religious artifacts, if you hold up like a set of cards and you have them guess what's on those cards, if they do it with consistent accuracy, that should throw up a red sign that they might be possessed. You have them recite Bible verses to see if they can go all the way through it. There's lots of things that you can do to eliminate whether this is just some kind of mental illness or if it's a true possession.
Are possessions illegal? I'm sorry, not possession. Exorcisms. Exorcisms.
Aren't they just frowned upon?
That's a legal possession. That's marijuana.
That's what Denny's got going on right now. I meant exorcism, not possession.
I don't think they're illegal.
I don't think they're illegal, but they are a legal liability to perform one because there are so many things that can happen. There have been people who have died during an exorcism.
For sure.
And that's fact. I guess a big reason why I wanted to be a part of it was because a big part of our audience doesn't believe in them. They think it's complete folklore.
And it would be kind
or
of cool because every time we look up videos of it, there's a lot of stuff out there that's not real, and the ones that seem more real.
Are you okay, Becky? What is that? Did you just get possessed, Becky? What
I
was,
should have put on my cuff button for that.
what was
Burping
that?
because of the beer.
I don't know if that was a burp or if that was a moan of
was like
ecstasy.
a moan.
It's just like an XL.
You're getting your feet
It
rubbed.
was
didn't
well
re-
timed, whatever.
I
it
didn't
was.
realize exorcisms got you going, Becky.
Forgot there's a mic in my face.
It's like, tell me more.
So you think it's a bad idea is what you're telling
I think
me.
it's a bad idea. Even from a standpoint, let's look at it from a legal standpoint. They're getting ready to perform an exorcism, probably unsanctioned by the Catholic Church, on a 13-year-old child.
Yeah.
And they have a quote-unquote celebrity that's going to be filming it. If something happens to that child, you might have a legal liability because you're there.
Who is the celebrity?
You.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
Yeah, we
I
just
get-
wanted to see if we can
Yeah.
capture some of it on.
I bring things up on the air, and then people want my head on a stick. I was just talking about an exorcism. They asked me. They extended the invitation. I was thinking about it. That might be cool. Beckett, you hear something like this? What are your thoughts?
I hear a rogue priest and a minor.
What could go wrong?
It's not something I think I should be involved in.
yeah.
Rogue priest and a minor. Well, so Denny's is on the other side. Denny's thinks I should do this, and
I think we
give
should
your-
absolutely do this, and even if they're not on the up and up. I mean, I'm still down for shooting it.
Why is that?
Well-
You're the pro of this conversation.
Well, the reason I just want to see it. I would love. I like the concept of possession. I'd like to see it in an actual setting. Everything I look up on the internet's all fake.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fake stuff, and there's a lot of people who don't believe any of this shit is real. Possession, exorcisms.
It'd be awesome to bust that open.
Well, that's why I wanted to do it. My whole point of this podcast, and we haven't really got to the doing the investigating stuff because we're just kind of getting it off the ground, but I wanted to go out in the field and do things like that. I mean, everyone's saying on one side, don't do it. Oh, you're going to get possessed. You're going to get bloody murder, bloody murder. But on the other side, there's also an audience that says, totally do this. I want to see if this shit's for real. And there's a good chance that it's not.
Well, we had a guy call in on the air talking about how he was delivering food to a church, and the front was closed. It said closed today. So he went around back to the door and went in, and they were performing an exorcism in there. And he was just dropping off food. And he said he saw the woman levitating. I mean, he's just a random person going through there. I think that would be awesome to capture.
I mean, and there's that kind of audience that wants us to see, some crazy shit go down.
Yeah. There's multiple kinds of churches, though. I mean, what?
Hey, there's churches that are sanctioned,
Right.
and then there's like the Manson family.
The renegade ones.
So without giving it up, like, this is like a legit church, like
Yes.
steeple. Like, you
Yeah, from what I understand,
can- has
again,
like a legit congregation.
this is
like sitting
through email, and this is through one phone call. So that's what I'm walking into, and
But
I
they had
local
us-
local church.
yes, well, local,
Florida.
local within 2 hours of what we're going here.
Of course,
so
it's
two
more-
two
it's-
and a half.
It's more in like the
I would say it's
northwest part of the state,
It's anywhere from Sanford, Florida, to Miami. Anywhere in between
but
that.
more north,
But definitely more north.
but
just
closer
saw
to
the word.
Sanford.
We just saw the word exorcism and was like, let's do it.
Well, yeah, we do a weird podcast. We're
Right.
going to get weird email. We have a lot of weird emails today. I mean,
Now, there's something I do want to, because I know you're not going to listen to it.
I do. No,
but,
I get that. I get painted with that brush. I don't listen to people. I will listen to you.
One thing that's interesting is that I've learned through the Warrens when they were involved in exorcisms and things like that. If there is a demon involved, if this is a true possession, the demon will use whatever it has at its disposal. And the people involved who are in the room or doing the exorcism, they have found that if you go to confessional before participating, then the demon cannot use your sins against you during the
Okay.
exorcism.
All right. There's a loophole with demons. I knew it. I knew there was a.
That's according to
There's
you
always
know,
a
Ed
loophole.
Warren.
There's always a loophole. All right. Very good.
So I would suggest if you're going to go to confession prior
Well,
to doing it.
I have a sit down with my Aunt Anne tomorrow about a lot of this, so that will be a good.
Yeah.
We'll just stay tuned. Denny's, you brought in something really. Oh no! I'm sorry. Let me digress. We got a pretty cool email. This
I brought in some cool stuff though too.
You did bring in some cool stuff. You actually know about this. That's why I said that. Someone said, "Dear Weird and Whatever, I've seen what looks to be a 10-year-old little girl always hitchhiking outside where I work. She is very pale and has black circles around her eyes. Every time I go out to talk, she vanishes into thin air. The thing that scares me the most is I'm the only one that sees this girl. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. I find it hard to believe that nobody has seen her. I work with over 50 people. How has nobody seen this girl? Have you guys ever heard of something like this? Is this an illusion or am I seeing her for real? It's driving me mad." And when we talked about that, you brought up the black-eyed children or black-eyed kids.
Oh yeah, I stumbled upon this one night late, if you will. But so
Completely sober.
well, the
With
cool
dark
thing,
circles under his eyes
Yeah,
himself.
dark and red.
I was like, I can relate to these guys. But yeah, I stumbled upon it late at night, and what I liked about it was a lot of the folklore and urban legends you hear are all so old. They're based on old stories and passed on along. And this one was from the 90s, which was an era I grew up in. So it was kind of weird that from my childhood, I actually kind of remember hearing on the news something about this. I don't know if it was some sort of like side piece they did to fill time or what. But
Well, there has been some legit sightings. It's usually kids from the age of 6 to 16, and they look almost kind of like they're pale. They got the black
And the
rings
black
around their
eyes.
eyes, and they're either almost like a vagabond or they're hitchhiking of some. But then they kind of disappear into thin air.
yeah, people say they see them. There's been a couple in, I think one of them was in Texas, was the original sighting. And then more started popping up all the way to like Scandinavia. So it's been kind of weird. And it kind of ties into, there was that one weird story with the 2 kids found up there in like Norway. Remember those 2 kids that had the blue eyes and the blonde hair? It was like the opposite.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Denny.
It was a weird story. It could have been same night.
I'm just kidding. I think I remember that.
But yeah, it's kind of cool that they're having these spottings of odd children.
So what I would like you guys to do, I would like you guys from here on out, I would like you guys to bring in some type of creature or folklore that no one's ever heard of. That's our new assignment, all of us. We all have about 20 seconds to pitch our idea. This is the devil with,
Well, they
green
had that
eyes.
dog man. That thing, remember I brought it up about Brazil? There's been more sightings of the dog man in different countries. I don't know if that's just catching on internet-wide or I don't know what that...
But there's so much weird shit like the dog man or the black-eyed children. I would like to hear you guys, what you guys would bring in. That'd be very interesting to me because it's almost like a book report, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. A presentation.
So you could bring in the weirdest
It's
thing.
got to be 7 minutes long. No, I kid.
P.S. I never found robot porn.
You didn't?
I looked.
Hold
Oh,
on.
dude, somebody just sent me one in Facebook Messenger.
I mean, I saw like anime and like stuff like that, but not like legitimate robots like we're talking about.
Do you think you could get turned on by robot porn?
I was curious.
there's like a video going around right now of a guy.
Is there?
Yeah,
Denny
I'll find
clearly,
it. I'll find it.
Denny's gets turned on by it.
I'm more intrigued.
Man.
There was like animation or like a girl dressed up pretending she was doing a robot or like there
she
wasn't
like,
yeah, there wasn't legit.
Yeah, no, for whatever reason, that's the big buzz story going on right now.
Everybody's talking it.
Everyone's talking sex robot. I swear, it gets on the press junket and then everyone starts to talk about it. But yeah,
Did we start it?
Yes, we broke it here on the Weird and Whatever.
It's the new fidget
The butterfly
spinner.
But everyone's talking about pork and robots these days. But Denny's found this really, really cool thing called Peggy the Doll.
Oh yeah.
Now, this Peggy the Doll, it's this creepy ass doll that even just looking at the picture on the internet of this doll, it's been reported that 80% of the people that see it either have nausea, chest pains.
And they get dizzy.
They throw up. There was even parts of mania. They turned into maniacs.
Just by looking at the photo.
What was
I
the photo?
believe producer Angelica is putting the picture up. I would like to let me pull up the picture.
Test it out on you guys. If you stare at it for like 60 seconds,
Sounds like
start,
morning sickness, Barbie.
you start feeling odd though. It starts making you sick.
Stretch for me, Danny. That's why I look for this.
Haha.
Will you look for it?
On that
Yeah.
last email, if he keeps seeing it, I mean, we're in 2017. Why doesn't he just take a picture with his phone?
Who's this?
The guy that keeps seeing the
The
black-eyed
child, yeah.
child.
Oh, yeah, I know. A lot of times we just get emails. Much like a Bigfoot photo, we don't get much credibility.
Yeah, well, so I was driving up to work one morning when we were living down in Davie, and it took me a while. It took like an hour and something to get here, like hour and 10. While I was driving, and I saw these lights going in a circular manner and then turned sideways, and then they all lit up and vanished. And I was fumbling to get my phone because I wanted to catch this. And that's why I don't think anyone ever catches anything on camera.
Yeah, I've had two moments that were going to be without a doubt viral. There was one where there was a fight in a gas station, and the guy was about to jump over and start fighting the cashier. The cashier's yelling at him, but I was as close to the guy as I am to you, and I didn't have the balls to pick up my phone. I
Really?
thought he was going to punch me or something. I mean, that would have been ultimately an even better video.
I know,
Yeah.
but the one that keeps seeing it, he knows he sees it like all the time, he or she. So have your phone ready because you know where they're going to be at the exact same spot.
So someone's going to hear that email and say, "This guy's clearly lying. He just wants a little airtime."
Well,
because
it's like-
you're right though. You got to have pictures these
If
days.
you say he's seeing the girl at the bus stop every morning, oh my God, that's freaky.
So if you're listening, the shade on you, sir, is going to be that you send an email without any photos or video proof. We have to have video proof. I love the email. I love the
Yeah.
story behind it, but we got to have proof.
We love all the
Yeah.
emails and all the feedback, but what I would say, even not to say we doesn't necessarily disbelieve him, but just for he's wondering why in that email he's like, why aren't other people seeing it?
Yeah.
So what he didn't include in that email, he's like, well, when I take a picture, it's not coming out in the picture, or I haven't taken a picture, or I haven't tried to take a video. But
For
if he's
sure.
saying it's at the bus stop every morning,
Yeah, the one thing
that
I
would
would
be
say is
troubleshooting for me in my head.
he does go. He says he goes out there and she's gone. So maybe he has tried and she's eluded him.
That means he has to see her through the window.
Yeah. All good
Distance,
points.
okay.
We're giving you some good points, man. You better see some cool shit next week. All right, you guys ready to see this this doll?
I
You
got
guys
a peek. It's freaky.
Are you guys ready to vomit and get,
Yeah.
mania?
You gotta stare into the eyes.
That's crazy.
That's a horrifying doll. It really is.
Yeah.
Angelica, are you able to put the doll picture back up? You are awesome. Yeah, so
Everybody gaze into it.
they say 80% of the people that even look at the doll. I gotta say though, it does kind of make me feel weird.
It gives me anxiety.
It gives me anxiety. So does that count? Am I in the 80%?
I find if you stare at it for about 60 seconds, just right into its eyes, and just don't break it, it does make you feel dizzy and.
But how many things, if you looked at it right in the eye, would make you dizzy for 60 seconds? I
Oh,
mean,
I get-
I'm getting nothing from her.
You're getting nothing.
I get nothing
Nothing.
from her.
So
No.
you're part of the 20%.
She actually looks familiar.
It
I
looks,
wonder what brand doll that was because it looks very familiar.
Is it My Buddy? My buddy. My buddy.
You remember that?
My buddy and me. There's a girl too. Kid sister. Kid
Kid
sister.
sister.
You guys remember that?
That one movie, Chucky, freaked me out.
Chucky was so creepy. Okay, what would freak you out more? You wake up and this doll is hovering over you, going Beckett, Beckett, or you wake up and there's 3 clowns in your room with an axe.
3 clowns with an axe.
Really?
Yeah.
Over floating doll?
Well,
Wait,
3 clowns you can
clowns?
explain.
3 clowns and an axe.
3
I
clowns?
know, but
get-
they could kill me. They have axes.
No,
They
man.
only have
Wait,
one axe.
The
hang on.
doll is way freakier,
Wait,
man.
you didn't say she has any weapons at all.
It
Plus,
doesn't-
she's a lot smaller than me.
She's levitating. Dude, you can't. If she's levitating,
She's floating.
I don't
around
care if the
room.
clowns are real people from the carnival. That's more scary.
I can talk the clowns out of it.
I don't-
I feel like you
if they're
can't.
already in your house with an axe.
I see what you're saying. They both are both terrible situations. I'm with Denny's on this because I can't explain.
You can't
why
explain
the,
that. It's paranormal.
Why the shit is this doll
That's my
floating
stuff.
over my head?
Yeah, well, that it's just freakier than if you
Yeah.
got 3 people in your room, which could happen.
Psychos, we get psychos. Psychos can break in and
How old is the doll?
The doll is 111 years old.
I thought you were gonna go young. You went old on me.
Yes, and it's got murder in its eyes.
I thought you were gonna say like mid-20s.
No. The
Mid-20s.
older things are, the creepier they are. I think a wise man once said that.
All this ghost and robot sex. I thought it maybe could go a different direction.
All this ghost and robot sex got me giving me the vapors.
But I'd say anybody that's getting sick heard that you're supposed to get sick. I think it's just power of suggestion.
You do.
You mean like the movie The Ring? You watch it and you die.
Yeah.
Do you think? And we've talked about this before, but just to reiterate, not everybody listens to all of the episodes. You do believe that objects can become possessed?
Yes. I think they can be occupied and possessed.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what the object is, so long as it's a rock or a doll. It could be.
There's been a variety of items. In fact, Ed and Lorraine Warren and their nephew, John Zaffis, they all have museums filled with haunted items
Oh, okay.
that have caused problems, and they removed them from the location, put them in a secured museum, and there haven't been issues since.
And again, just let everybody know, who are those people again?
Ed and Lorraine Warren were the original, I use that in my air quotes, demonologist, and they started around, it's either the late 60s, 70s. A lot of the movies that we see nowadays were, based on their investigations, like The Conjuring, Conjuring 2.
I really do recommend. I know I sound like a broken record. I do
You
recommend
get it.
it.
You like it.
I know.
And their nephew is John Zaffis, and he's big in the paranormal field as well. In fact, he had the show Haunted Collector.
Just to let everybody know, we will be posting the picture of Peggy the doll on our Instagram and on our Facebook. I want to and leave your comment. Does it make you nauseous? Yes or no? Is it awesome or is it awful? Is it weak or is it?
It makes me feel weird. Maybe, I don't know, the eyes causing some sort of vertigo.
Well,
Got
do
you
have
making feeling some kind of way.
Yeah.
Dolls do scare the shit out of
Well,
me.
dolls are weird because
They
I
are.
don't identify with them. I didn't play them as a kid, so when I see them there, I think young innocence. But when you see them in a creepy setting, it almost like twists that concept.
Oh, and that damn elf on the shelf. I
Like,
can't
that
believe
thing's
kid-
creepy
I
too,
ca-
man.
for the life of me, I'll never get why kids like that and why parents try to shove it down their throat. That shit is horrifying.
Some kids
What,
like
Alf?
it.
No, I know. I don't get why. The
Alf?
The
Elf
elf
on the Shelf.
You don't know what this is?
Elf on the Shelf.
You don't know what this is? Oh my
Really?
gosh, Elf on the
Well,
Shelf.
2014 called.
Someone explain it. I can't.
It's this elf doll, and the concept is like the doll will go and move and do different things. Like they have these cute little things where he's like pooping Hershey Kisses, and they have him, and he'll be tied up like the army men have tied him up, and it's like a little game that the parents do, and they do different things and have the elf do different things.
But then the elf will tattletale on the kid. So the elf is a friggin' rat, first of all, and then they use it to scare the shit out of the kids. It's horrifying
This is
to
an
boot.
adult toy, not a child toy.
Oh my gosh, man! And parents get crazy with
They
it.
get crazy with it and they post it up on the
Sounds like
Instagram.
fun if you're the parents.
And for
if
the
you're
kids,
the parents, it sounds
moves
fun.
around each night.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Denny,
yeah.
I didn't realize your team elf on the shelf, Denny.
Each day before Christmas is a different spot. You got to find them.
No, it's horrifying. It clearly it's getting murderous eyes, man. It's
It's
horrifying.
pretty creepy if an inanimate object moves around. So
Yeah, it's moving around. It's a doll.
It's pooping.
Yeah,
Chocolate.
Hershey
Dr-
Kisses.
it's
yeah.
it's ratting your kid out.
it's androgynous. I can't tell if it's a male or a female.
I wouldn't trust the elf on the shelf. If I was a kid, I would hate the elf on the.
All right, man. I get
All right,
it. You
you're
don't
right.
like
I gotta calm
You don't
down.
like the elf on the shelf.
It sparks creativity. I'll give it that.
I guess so. Here's another email. Dear Weird and Whatever, not sure if this qualifies for a weird or whatever topic, but here it goes. I have the hots for my third cousin. I feel like she has the hots for me. Am I a pig for hooking up with my third cousin? She turns me on so bad. It's not just physical. I love her personality too. I swear we're about to start making out the other night, but my sister walked in the room. We are both in our mid-20s. Are we horrible people if we hook up? What are your guys' thoughts on third cousins hooking up? Sincerely, Tormented in Lake Worth.
I think that's far enough removed, right? Third cousin.
I think biologically it's far enough.
Third
Yeah.
cousin, you guys give the green light.
It's far. I mean, from a biological standpoint, you're not going to have mutant children.
Yeah.
You know.
I
that a fact?
I see Mr. Beckett wincing over there.
Is that a
Because I think-
fact?
I don't know. Look.
I mean, royalty used to marry their first cousins, and
For
that's why we
sure.
have so many, in the history that
Okay,
had genetic problems.
Let's ask some
Look at Prince
questions.
Charles.
Let's
I
ask
think they
It's kinda
figured it
goofy-
out that
goofy
if you
looking.
wait 3, you're
a
fine.
quick survey. Is it creepy to hook up with your first cousin, Beckett? Yes or no?
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Denny's.
Wait, first cousin?
First cousin.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound convincing. I'll go along with the herd on that one. Second cousin, Beckett.
Creepy, yes.
Vicky,
Yeah, I don't like that one either.
you don't like that one?
So what's the second cousin? Like,
second,
you got
yeah.
two
What?
of them?
What is?
That would be a cousin's cousin.
So that would be-
Cousin's cousin? That's so
No.
far away.
what is a second cousin?
It's not a direct bloodline. Because and like third cousin, you're even getting further away from that direct bloodline. Like you'd have to,
Yeah, I
I'd have
think
to see
second
their
cousin's
actual bloodline to see. I find it kind of strange if you have like third cousins and they're like around the same age, and because like I'd have to know
so
who's
it's
involved.
better if one's young and one's 20 years
No, I'm
older.
just saying, just because of being that far removed from the bloodline, I'd like to see what the family lineage is and how they became third cousins,
All right, so
and see how
first,
close it is.
everyone's
Alright.
on board. First cousin, wait, ew.
Yeah, nah.
Second cousin, no. Even if you were drunk one night, no.
But I don't even know who that would be.
I don't even know.
Like,
who
I
that
don't
would-
even know if I've ever met my second cousin.
Is that my uncle's daughter? Wait,
It
who
would
is
be
it?
like my cousin's offspring.
Your cousin's offspring.
So that's what I'm saying. To be a third cousin, that means your
Oh, but
cousin's
I mean, you'd be so
offspring's
much older.
offspring.
Yeah, you'd be
That's
so
why
much
it's kind of
older.
strange to me that they're around the same age.
All right, Beckett, you meet a 10-piece. I mean, she is so hot, and she's nurturing, she's sweet. She's everything that a Beckett would want. She's your third cousin. Do you break it off after you're about to seal the
I think
deal?
a tougher question is if I didn't know she was my third cousin, but then I found out later.
You're about to seal the deal, and the knowledge comes.
Seal the deal. I'm about ready.
Bow chicka bow bow, and you just find out 5 minutes before that's your third cousin. Do you go through with it? And she's awesome, man.
think I need to phone a friend.
You got a photo friend?
I think I need to call a doctor. I need to ask because I don't have clarity on that.
What if you're caught up in the moment though? Like there's no doctor, and you guys are in
Yeah, you guys are in the-
thralls of passion.
You're in the woods and there's nobody around, and you're about to.
You're like, I won't tell if you won't tell, type thing.
Maybe you do everything but.
Oh, that's still. I mean, that actually makes it even creepier. Right? You're like you're justifying your pervy ways.
I never had sex with her.
When I was little, I remember I was about 11 years old, and I'd never really, other than going to school, I'd never had a friend that was the opposite sex, really. And I remember it was the first time hanging out with my first cousin in Pennsylvania, and I never met her before, and I remember I developed a crush on her. Is that weird?
Yeah, no, I mean I think that's normal because I think I had crushes on my cousins, but it was only because the same type of thing. I grew up with brothers, and then I had a sister much later. But like, I didn't really hang out with chicks.
Yeah,
for,
it
like,
was the first time a girl that was not my sister
For sure.
was giving me
And
attention.
you're kind of trying to impress them. You
Yeah.
don't know how it works yet.
And then you go back on the road trip. It was 3 days long. You're like, oh my god, I have a crush on my cousin. What's wrong with me?
It's weird, yeah.
So I'm normal, Denny's.
Yeah,
it's
that's
okay.
normal.
It's okay, Vicky.
Yeah, well, relatively. I can see where it could happen. Okay.
Yeah, nothing happened. We didn't do anything.
Well, the thought. I can see how the
Well,
thought
I just think I had developed a little bit of a crush on my first cousin as a kid. I think
Right.
that is normal.
Yeah, and you only masturbated once. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, this is definitely 18-year-old podcast. All right. So and then we all fourth cousin and on. It's let's
I
have
don't even
some,
know if they're related to you anymore.
let's have some fun. You might be my fourth.
I think
cousin.
everybody's probably a fourth cousin somehow.
We're all. Wouldn't you say we are all related somehow, some way?
I would think so. I think there'd be crossover.
There has to be crossover, right? Or no?
Yeah, there's definitely crossover.
I mean, or am I completely wrong on that?
If it was just known going into something that they're your cousin, it's one thing if they're your 11th cousin, but like if you know that they're your cousin, second, third,
What-
too many fish in the sea.
What about third aunt? Does that make it creepier when you say
Or
third?
like second aunt.
Vicky, I'm sorry.
Does aunt jump it up
but,
a level?
But where does
Yeah.
it end? I mean, is it
It jumps
seventh
it up.
aunt? Is it just the word aunt? What? Yeah, I think you're
They
right.
need to have
That's
that
the word.
filter on like Match.com or something,
What's that?
so you can make sure that it's like not related.
We've had stuff before where people have emailed and they didn't realize they were hooking up with a family member. I mean that does happen.
Yeah.
I think it's rare, but it does happen.
You should go to Ancestry.com.
Yeah,
Denny.
it's like we say in West Virginia, where I'm from. It's all relative.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man. We got a little bit of a joke off going on here. Singers galore. Let's read another email. Do you guys believe in voodoo? Have we talked about voodoo at all?
Yeah, we've kind of talked about
A little
curses and
bit,
voodoo.
not too much. I have an ex-girlfriend who put a voodoo curse on me. I broke up with her because she was being too jealous. She put a voodoo curse on me. Should I be worried? Is this shit real? She even said she got a voodoo doll. She keeps threatening that she's going to burn the doll and then I'm going to feel nothing but pain. Oh my gosh, what a psycho. What are your guys' thoughts? Should I be scared?
No, I think your only thing you should be scared about is if you believe it. And the fact that there is somebody putting all that negative energy on you.
So are you telling me you do not at all believe in the practice of voodoo?
I think that the key to voodoo is the recipient believing in it. So in other words, if I don't believe in
if a gypsy
it,
curses you,
right, it's not going to affect me because I don't believe it.
If a gypsy came up to me and put their finger on me and go, lizard, and then
and
I
you turn into a lizard.
yeah, so you're saying that would be a psychosomatic type of thing because I am willing the lizard disease to happen?
I think that's one component of it. And it's also one person spending so much of their time putting some negative energy into
You're
you.
going to absorb some of it.
Yeah, you have to. Because if they're putting all that negative towards you, other negative is going to be attracted to that negative. And as a byproduct of that, then you could feel like you were cursed.
But what about like inanimate objects being possessed? What if they put some sort of curse on an item that they give to you and then cursing you?
I mean, they'd have to be blah, 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 blah. See,
Oh,
I just got
gee,
possessed.
you're
I got
possessed.
possessed. I'm speaking in tongues.
It's that damn doll. We're
They
making
would have
fun
to.
of it.
They would have to be
That was a
dealing
rumor.
directly with a demon. They would have
Gotcha.
to have.
So you think
specifically
demons are
summoned a
the
demon.
only thing that can cause like that type of curse
Typically,
or pain?
yeah. Typically, I think you definitely have to be dealing with something demonic in order for it to attach to an object and things like that.
What are your thoughts, Beckett, on all of this,
This smorgasbord of stuff.
Well, no, I mean,
I don't really buy into the voodoo.
the
stuff.
voodoo stuff. You don't the practice and all that. What is that called?
There's Santeria
Yeah,
is one of
Santeria
them.
is
That's a practice, correct?
Yes, that's a pretty intense one.
What goes in with that?
I don't know a whole lot about it because I only had one case that might have involved it, and I turned it over to someone else because that's not my area of.
But
specialty.
Santeria is a form of voodoo.
Do you
Yeah,
practice
it's a form of it,
Santeria?
but it's very
Like spirits
intense.
of the dead.
Yeah, it's
You
very
don't practice
intense.
Santeria?
No.
I ain't got no crystal ball.
I was waiting for somebody. Shit, you left me hanging out here
I
about
need to hear
10
the
seconds. One thing we have really not talked about is I want to get everybody's opinion. Zombies. Off the table, there's no way they could ever exist. Now, I think there's a couple ways you could look at this. Zombies where they come from the dead.
Yeah,
they're-
zombies are big. There's like 90 different genres of zombies.
Yeah, or is it government made where people could take the dead and make them come alive? What are your guys' opinions on that?
No.
No.
So you believe in no form
Such
of
a
zombie,
skeptic, Beckett.
no form of zombie possible. Like not whether they're reincarnated or a government bomb goes off and it has some sort of neurotoxin in it that causes people to regress to just baser emotions like survival, anger, fear, and then tearing people apart, spreading the disease through their saliva.
I guess when I think of zombie, I guess zombie happens when someone's already alive, right? And then they convert. Like, it's not someone that's dead that turns.
Or it could be either. I mean, the term I think originally was resurrecting the dead as zombies.
That, in a weird way, I have a tougher time believing in the undead coming alive.
Like necromancy, like the raising of the.
Yeah.
You don't believe
I-
that's a possibility that someone died and they have risen?
It would have to be really soon, like really soon.
Vicky, what are your thoughts on that?
I
The
would.
dead rising again.
I would think again. I think it would be a tool of something demonic. making it look like it's that person coming back. And as far as the zombie thing, I could see where, as we get further along, we already have certain diseases that are becoming resistant to antibiotics. So I could see maybe one day down the road we get diseases that, although we can function, they may eat at our flesh and may do certain things to us that make us look zombie, but it's really because don't have anything
Like we
to
no
medicate
longer
them.
can defend
But
against.
could you say too, though? You say if something like that happened, it would be clearly demonic. Couldn't, on the other side, the light side of the spectrum, do something, rise the dead and have them,
Well, Jesus.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know if it's always demonic, right? You could argue that the lighter side could have people. Could you? I guess my question is, could you have spiritual ass zombies?
Like good zombies.
Good zombies,
zombies.
yeah.
Brought back from the dead.
Yeah.
I thought the definition of zombies is they're eating people.
I mean, you
I
could
mean,
eat somebody and still be cool.
zombies got a bunch of addendums to their description on the
I mean,
dictionary.
Maybe let's suspend the term zombie, and I guess I'm saying
The undead.
the undead on the good level. I mean, wouldn't that be considered? Isn't that a ghost?
Well, no, because if you're talking about zombie type and the undead, you're talking about a physical body
Okay.
that's being manipulated. That I don't believe that good spirits would do. They may come to you in spirit form and they may look solid, but they're not using their actual body that was left here on Earth.
A zombie could be like, I want to hug you,
Yeah.
and they just want to hug.
No, I'm not hugging it.
Well, there was that old story, The Monkey's Paw, where the guy makes the wish. He wants his loved one to come back, and he makes the wish, and he thinks it's great, and then he shows up as a corpse.
Yeah.
Meet Joe Black's one of my favorite movies, and he came back and took a human body.
I wanted to watch. I started watching that movie. Meet Joe Black. You said I started watching.
love
that.
that movie.
I couldn't get into it. I gotta
I
definitely
used
watch
to have
that
such
again.
a thing for Claire Florani.
I don't even know who that
She's-
is.
She's the actress. She's got it going on. I also like that Brad Pitt likes peanut butter in that. But that's based on a original film. I think it was Death Takes a Holiday.
Oh, really?
So you can watch the original one. It's not as exciting. It doesn't have that big action moment.
Now
but
he's just showing off. You're talking about the off side of it, the off-brand version.
I've seen
of
Meet
it.
Joe Black like 30 times.
Great movie.
I like that film.
The one thing I wanted to talk about too, we do talk about animal stuff here, and I know you're big into animal. I mean, I think we all love animals on this program. I think it's so cool when you do see a disaster coming, and animals know shit before
react.
anybody
Yeah.
else, and how anyone can't say that animals don't have their own genius.
It's like an extra sense they carry that we don't have.
Yeah, I mean,
we can feel like uncomfortableness and anger in a room, but as far as like predicting the weather, I mean, even the meteorologist can't do it.
I mean, the animals have their own genius, and there are people that walk around and are like, animals are animals, whatever.
Throwing bread at them.
They you could argue they've got their own whole genius going on, just like humans do.
Well, even like they said about the eclipse, they're like, "Oh, keep your animals in," and someone said, "Well, actually, they're smart enough not to look
They've
up.
managed to live thus
They're
long.
Yeah, they're smarter than us. They're not going to look up and
Our
and hurt
president
their
looked
eyes.
up without glasses.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good for anyone to look at the sun, but I mean, people are worried about driving home and accidentally looking at it. I'm like, dude, just treat it like it's the normal sun.
But I kind of get that mentality too. Don't look at the sun. Don't look at the sun. Damn it, I want to look at the sun now. I was like that as a kid.
For sure. I mean, curiosity.
But just know, if you see a shit ton of animals running in a direction and you don't know why, cover your ass.
Totally agree. That's like the first rule of every horror movie.
Well, I was just saying, not to
Anytime
ruin...
the cat or the dog goes the other way, like, yeah, get out of there.
But it just really fascinates me that, especially as I've gotten older, just really having an appreciation for the genius of animals.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get on board with
Well,
that.
I don't want to ruin the movie Birds for anyone from Alfred Hitchcock. Spoiler alert. The reason they're revolting is because of the pollution the humans are putting out. It was a message for environmentalism. But it's because they would have a reaction. He's like, what if they revolt? I can tell you don't care about the bird story, but you should check out the movie.
No, man, we love your awesome bird story. We thought it was great, man.
No, but I do pay attention. The other day I was out with my German Shepherd. We're in the yard. It's like 5 o'clock, so it's daylight. All of these, I thought at first it was birds. They start swirling around her, and they're around the tree, whatever. I look at them closely because they're going very fast. It was actually bats.
Oh yeah, they get frantic.
Yeah, so I was like, what the heck is going to happen here? Why are these bats freaking out? So I'm looking to see what disaster's coming because I was paying attention to them because that was odd behavior.
Well, I mean, couldn't you argue animals that are sensing stuff like that? That's their own form of psychic ability. I mean, they're sensing shit before it even happens. I get there may be vibration there, but isn't that what being a psychic's about? Feeling vibration?
Yeah, they have an extra sense. I think like if you see a cat like looking, sometimes they'll like play in the corner like they're messing with something. You wonder if that's something we can't sense.
Yeah, I mean, they say babies and they say animals, especially dogs and cats, can look at, spirit form.
That's because they're not corrupt. Like most children until the age of 7, they see spirits and they see them just as plain as
That's
you
why
would
they
be.
say people have imaginary friends because
Yeah.
you have
Well,
that
and they're
ability.
usually
when
not
you're younger.
imaginary.
When's the cutoff
they're
then?
not.
When
It's
does,
about 7.
that's when
Yeah.
when you start to become a little jaded with shit where you're kind of
Where
like,
people tell you when
"All
you
right."
say there's somebody in my closet and you keep telling the kid no, there's not anything in your closet, the kid starts to put that
Starts to
curtain
lose
down.
it.
And that's when they do become that jaded human.
Hate and violence, I think, in my opinion, is a learned behavior.
Oh, I agree.
It's a learned behavior, to Vicky's point, that society unfortunately teaches children, whether it's kids in ISIS, or racism or whatever. They learn hate. You put a apple and a bunny rabbit in a crib with a kid, let me know when the kid eats the bunny rabbit and plays with the apple. It's not instinctual to say, I want to shoot and choke out that bunny rabbit. That's like something that you learn as you get older.
I agree with that. Now, there's always the exception, and this is the debate, is what if somebody has their wires crossed a little wrong out of the womb?
For sure.
Like somebody where they were raised right, they had a good upbringing, and then they still turned evil. I mean, I'm talking bad,
Yeah.
And it's got to be a chemical imbalance.
Exactly.
Of some
So there's
sort.
not a PC way necessarily to walk a perfect line, but it's a form of a retardation in a sense that it's an anomaly, right? I think, in my opinion, because I always think the best in humans, ultimately, they could have you see twins sometimes. They had the exact same upbringing, were treated the exact same way, and one person is totally different, and sometimes not a bad way, sometimes in a bad way. But yeah, sometimes there's a chemical imbalance, and that,
Yeah, I mean, I really do believe a lot of shit. I mean, a good amount on the syllabus. What we learn in life is your upbringing.
So
Yeah.
I believe that hate's learned. I don't know if I believe violence is learned.
I do. I see what you're saying.
Because
on
I mean,
that.
violence is going to be a result. I mean
Of
that.
hate?
Not even necessarily. If you're in the woods and you're starving, you're going to get violent and get a bunny or a cat or anything.
That's a very
fair.
good point.
Because but violence. I mean,
Hate,
hatred,
violence are-
violence. They're different.
Hate can lead to violence, but violence can survive without
That's
hate.
what I'm saying. I think there can be a violence if somebody attacks you. I mean, because they want what you have. That's. I
Yeah.
mean, they're going to have that emotion.
Look at Denny's bringing the
But
big
as
old
far-
point.
But as far as hating somebody for something that's outside their control completely is insane to me.
Oh well, that is learned behavior.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Hating for somebody for something like that is definitely learned.
So I am gonna ask you guys to step out of your comfort zone. I believe you were quoted before, Mr. Beckett, saying you like to step out of your comfort zone.
I do.
All right. I would for next week. I just want to get your guys' opinions on this. I kind of want to do something lighthearted and fun here. I was gonna do another assignment with you guys where you can pick whether it's a ghost or if it's a demon, whatever you want to.
Something in the realms of paranormal,
Paranormal,
cryptozoology.
cryptozoology. We all have to come in with a 30-second rap about that subject. What are your guys' thoughts on something like that? Our audience would love it.
Oh,
They
it'd
would
be
love to
awesome.
hear Vicky get on the mic
Oh, yeah.
and rip some shit up. They would.
Like,
I'm
I
actually a
love
pretty
ghosts.
good writer. I'm up for this one.
Okay.
I was a little nervous before, but I'm up for this one.
Okay. All right. So,
right.
I'm in.
how we're going to do it is, this is what we do. We're going to write out our rhymes. You take all week long, write it out. We'll have a beat. We'll send you the beat, and then you have to do it. and
It'll be the
perform
same
it-
beat for everybody.
Perform it live on our next podcast. Are you Vicky takes the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a rap off on The Bachelorette, so I'm down.
I love it. Good, good, good.
Oh yeah.
And Denny's, he's fire on the mic.
So we got to pick something. I'm gonna pick like Boggarts or something.
What do you want to pick? Yeah, what would you feel comfortable rapping about? It can be whatever we've discussed on the podcast. And if you guys want to go longer than 30 seconds, take them bars.
Drop the beat, go
Drop-
a cappella.
Go, do it.
Are we going to go just straight rabbit in the mic?
You're gonna go straight rabbit in the mic, man.
Papa Doc.
That beat's gonna go on. You know,
But you guys are recording artists. Do we get like a little handicap?
you got.
I love the word
Listen,
artist.
there's no
used
prizes.
Yeah, we record songs in our room. Yeah, we're such artists.
It's the lead-in to our show. You guys are cheating.
Yeah.
No, I think it'd just be kind of fun to let our hair down a little bit.
yeah.
I do want to have a sense of goofiness with this podcast.
Should we let the audience judge it?
Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll all do our version. We'll upload it. We'll put it on SoundCloud, and then they'll vote.
All right.
It's really just about having a good time,
All right.
and just hearing Beckett and Vicky rap.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick a weird creature.
The other thing I wanted to ask you guys: we are in the middle of doing a scary movie, and it's done. We need actresses and actors. Can we sign a Vicky or a Beckett?
I'm in.
Absolutely.
I'm in.
Okay, it's gonna be PG-13. Could morph into rated R.
Yeah.
Just want to let you guys know that. Are you guys cool with that?
Yeah, I figure my acting's so bad, I'll be like the first one killed, so
No.
you can get me
No,
out of there.
no.
We'll get the best out of you. We will. We're gonna get you a Peabody or whatever those awards
Do you know what
are.
our roles are yet?
You're both gonna get murdered. Spoiler
Yeah, see? I told you.
Spoiler
Everybody
alert.
gets murdered.
Everybody gets
Oregon.
murdered. It's a slasher movie.
Slasher flick.
Slasher movie. Do you guys have anything you want to add? Any homework?
The animal thing reminded me. Just thoughts and prayers for the animals, humans out in Houston. It's
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
heartbreaking. A lot of us have been posting about it, and anything that anyone can do with charities, whether it's an animal
Well,
or
that-
Red Cross or
Yeah,
anything.
well, that was really why I brought up the whole animal stuff was because there's
They
a
could
lot
sense
of
it
cool-
coming.
You saw that one with the hawk in
The
the
hawk
car?
in the car.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how cool is that hawk?
Yeah, amazing.
The fact that he didn't. So that hawk seemed like he had a connection with those people. Did it not?
Yeah.
Or was it just scared out of his wits?
Both. A prediction that hawk will become a viral meme of multi kinds.
I mean, I don't know if you got to be a psychic for that one. I think
It's pretty
killing-
big.
It's killing on social
It really
media.
is.
Do you know you saw that, Vicky?
I didn't see that
Oh,
one.
you gotta watch it. It's very cool.
Tell about the hawk.
Well, the hawk's sensing the storm and he flies into a car, and the guy's filming it next to him. He like walks on his hand. It's pretty cool.
I mean, it
It's
doesn't
a
fly
huge
away.
hawk.
It doesn't fly away. It's staying on his arm. Now watch. A story will break in 2 days. That's his own pet hawk. It's trained, and it's not a real thing.
It's actually digitally imposed.
Oh yeah.
For
There was
my-
that alligator one that was like that.
My homework was in the AI vein. We'd been talking about that last couple episodes, and I just started a new graduate program up at Rollins. And my professor, she comes in from Silicon Valley, and we were chatting on our lunch break. She was like, "Oh, did you hear what happened at Facebook?" I'm like, "No." She said they have these two programs, these bots, right? And they were taught negotiation. And they were negotiating against each other, right? And I don't know why Facebook is doing this, but they're doing this. And they formed their own language.
Oh, dude, I know, man.
You saw this?
It's horrifying.
The developers didn't know the language. They had to. Facebook disconnected the bots.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, we heard about the disconnecting.
because they're scared shitless that they're going to take over the world.
They're like,
which-
what the hell's going on?
It
Yeah.
starts communicating with itself. I'm not so much afraid if they communicate with themselves because everything right now we have is wired to communicate. What I'm afraid of is self-replicating because that's where they could potentially cause massive amounts of damage.
Well, you have like a big house of cards that fall. You see the movie The Big Short, and there's so many brilliant finance minds and people in stock markets. I mean, it's capitalism. People make a lot of money about being
For sure.
being good at that. They're incentivized to be good at that. And you watch the movie Big Short, I think mostly even the layperson that's an artist, has no finance background, looks at The Big Short, and he was considered a out there theory. When you look back on that movie and what he was looking at, you're like, duh. Like, of course, like that was going to all collapse. So you listen to minds like Elon Musk and what he predicted as AI is our biggest existential threat. Like someone that's very obviously smart.
Yeah,
Like, we should start listening to these people.
He's saying that it's going to all go down, that they're going to turn on us. I've been saying that shit since, I mean...
Well, sex robots would be the ones you start with because that's the one that's luring people in. And then you
Oh,
grow
yeah.
attached.
As soon as we hear about the first rape from a sex robot, the tide has turned, right?
I mean, I don't know how realistic they're going to be. I don't know how... I mean, are they
I
gonna
gotta find that video for
Are
you
they
guys.
going to be walking around, walking a
Oh.
dog?
I mean, I think that's a little bit farther out. But I mean, as far as having a home companion, if you will, yeah, I could see that.
It's crazy, man.
I wonder what the battery life is.
Somebody, I'm going to be paraphrasing the email because it was a bit lengthy, but somebody, I mean, and I think a lot of people fight with depression. I think that's just kind of part of the human condition. I think we all go through that. They wanted to know if their depression could be linked to anything paranormal. Now, I know on the surface you could probably say, yes or no. They said that they have a great life, they have a great mate, but they just feel an emptiness of something taking over them, a sadness. Almost like it's like a cloak of sadness where they don't understand it. They say on paper there's no reason for me to be depressed. What are your guys' opinion on something like that? Could that be just their age, a chemical imbalance? Can it be where a ghost or an entity is providing that type of depression?
That sounds like how most people describe depression, doesn't it?
There's really no reason for it, but it's there.
Often.
Well, I think sometimes you can be depressed and there's a reason.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, that's like a logical depression.
We accept that better. It's
Right.
when you have the blues, and I think everyone goes through that. Where
Absolutely.
For some reason, you just get the blues. You get overly sentimental, maybe. You get overly sad. You don't know why. And I think that's just something human. I think that's in our DNA. I think everybody on this planet suffers with that. I mean, has everyone in this room suffered with depression at one point in their life?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
See?
I
I
don't
mean-
think you can make it out.
So it's like how I say like attention deficit disorder. Like what a lot of people say, it's overdiagnosed and overprescribed for medication. Everyone has difficulty at some times paying attention, and it's just a function of whether or not it gets in the way of your life, your job, your relationships, school. Same. Everyone gets depressed.
Yes.
It's just a function. It's healthy to be depressed. If you medicate and Xanax yourself and do anti-anxiety medications, you never deal with that, which Americans are infamously really bad about. Then it drags out, I think, the emotional recovery.
Not even only that, if you misuse some of that stuff, it can lead
Totally.
to bigger. I mean, I remember when I was 20 years old, I was prescribed Xanax from my therapist. Now, I did not know what it did. I remember I got it at Eckerd's drugstore. They're not even around anymore. I popped one. I didn't even know you weren't supposed to drive on that kind of stuff. I popped it. I drove about 5 minutes to school. As I was walking to my class, all of a sudden it felt like I chugged about 3 or 4 beers, and I was like, holy shit, man, I feel really, really relaxed. But you can over-medicate on that stuff, and that without a doubt can lead to more problems and more depression. I mean, not that takes a genius to say that,
Right.
but it's not always the best thing, especially if you're overusing that stuff.
Totally. The first thing the person that wrote in is, if he hasn't already, go talk to someone that's, a licensed professional, doctor, friends, family. You learn when things like Chester Pennington from Lincoln Park, where we talked about a few episodes ago, seemed to have, and to his own admission, had everything going on. Married, kids, happy with both. Lincoln Park, phenomenal financial success, artistic success. And he's just like, man, like I'm just like cloaked in this like sadness,
Yeah. Have you heard of when you do your psychic stuff, Vicky? Do you deal with a lot of times the people you deal with? Are they suffering from depression? Do they tell you?
There are some people, they don't usually have to tell me. It usually overcomes me since I'm a physical medium.
You can see
I
it
can
and
tell if
feel
somebody
it.
has panic attacks. I can usually tell if they're suffering from depression, things like that. Now, from a paranormal standpoint, there's a couple different things that could be going on. Again, I would recommend the doctor.
Yeah.
Especially, you have all kinds of chemical changes in your body as you get older. But from a paranormal standpoint, it could be that the person is an empath and they're picking up on other people's depression around them.
Yeah, that is something. Someone asked me about that, the whole empath thing, and saying if I'm that type of person, can I wear everyone's emotions internally, and can that wipe me out and get me sick?
Yeah, it can if
Totally.
you don't know how to protect yourself.
How do you protect yourself?
You basically have to mentally put yourself in a bubble and just not feel those things. And they say that physical
How
mediums.
though? How do you do that?
You just learn to put that wall up, and a lot of people say that physical mediums, such as myself, we actually don't live as long, because every time I have a heart attack because somebody else has had one, every time I have a stroke, every time I have these things, it's supposedly going to wear on my body and it's going to shorten my life. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes.
I mean,
but-
there's no way to even prove that. I mean, you
Yeah.
could have a heart attack today, and
Right.
it could be a
Right.
billion different things. But I can see how that would be a theory.
Yeah. And then the other thing that could be going on is if they've changed locations, like if they've moved or something like that, they might have a spirit there. that's influencing them.
You ever get depressed for no reason, Denny's? I think I might have asked you that before.
Oh yeah, I think everybody does. I think depression's a result of happiness. If you experience happiness, I feel like it goes through waves. If you experience one and you have more of the serotonin going, you're gonna go through a crash where it kind of goes down. You kind of just ride the waves up and down.
I mean, that's what we're all doing. We're all struggling. Every one of us is struggling just to ride them waves, baby.
Yeah.
for sure.
Because it is. I mean, just when you think you've got life whipped, man, does it come down and
Humbles
say,
you.
you know nothing. You know nothing. Because life doesn't give a frog's fat ass about
That's
your
how they
plans.
say. That's how you make God laugh. How do you make God laugh? Tell him you got a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a bad. I think everyone does have a plan. That's the human way of going about it. And I think people get shattered when that plan goes askew or awry. And I would argue the people that get through that storm are the ones that say, all right, I've been beat, I've been broken down, but I'm going to get right back up. I'm going to rebuild. Not everyone has that. That's a special quality that I don't know if you're born with it. I don't know if you're raised with that type of thing, but there's some people, they get knocked on their ass. They almost are. It's almost like they say, all right, screw you, life. I'll show you what I can do. Some people, I mean, if you did have that mindset, think about the shit you could accomplish.
Yeah, well, most of the people that are at the pinnacle of success that we look at as a society and look up, like whether it's Michael Jordan, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, fired from his own company, Michael Jordan cut from his high school basketball team. They have tremendous stories of failure. And the guys that are shooting for the highest are falling the hardest.
You have to
yeah.
fail. You have to.
You have to, because then you feel how painful it is.
Well, we have, especially here in America, we're scared of failure. We're taught that you cannot fail.
I wish they wouldn't teach you not to not fail.
Well, if you look at all of those wise son of a bitches back in the day, they all say, guys, you have to fail, and you have to fail a lot.
Believe it or not, I believe that the United States, although yes, it's a problem, I think that we are one of the least bad about it. I think that the Chinese, for example, they're more like tiger moms, got to get all A's, whatever. And we talked about it where, we foster the best entrepreneurism in the world. Like we teach our kids, it's okay to color your elephant blue and color outside of the lines. Where, in other more rigid societies, you're like, no, the elephant's gray. You got to color inside the lines. So, but it depends on how you look at things. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, I go to the gym and I lift to failure. Like when you're in the gym and you do that 15th rep of bicep curls, you do it. Like failing's a good thing at that point.
Well, I mean, I just look back at my own life and I think about all the times I've failed on anything, whether it was a relationship or anything that I was into. You really do learn the most. I mean, you learn a lot when you succeed, but you do learn a shit ton when you fail. So if you almost switch the way you think of things and say, all right, I know I'm failing right now. I know I'm going through a struggle, but the upside on all of that is I should be learning something. I think if you have that mindset, it's not for nothing.
Yeah.
You're not struggling for nothing. People, they struggle like, I'm just struggling. But if you struggle and get something out of it, it's not that shitty.
100%. That's why they say don't coddle your kids. Because if your kids don't know they can't lose a baseball game, and you play for a participation trophy.
Good luck, kid. It's a cold world, kid.
It is.
You're going to be losing a lot.
Exactly.
I just wish they didn't teach it all so black and white. Everything's got answer A or answer B.
And
There's
it's not.
so many variables.
That's why the one thing I hate about radio or entertainment in general is they always do that blanket. And I said it last time. She's 28 to 34. This is what she wants. I know so many different types of 28 to 34-year-old women that are like men and that are sexual or that are prudes that are not. I mean, it's guys and girls. There's no absolute.
Yeah.
Didn't Yoda teach us nothing?
They just care about who spends the most money.
No, you're right. And but that's we hide behind all these, vocabulary words and this is the way it has to be, and I don't know if I buy into that shit.
No,
I think there's
man.
always a different way to go about something.
There's always a paradigm shift at some point.
There's always a different way to win. There's never just one way to do something.
Yeah. Just look at the last 100 years, like how things have changed in business and sports and. Radio.
And to the guy that's suffering with depression, and I always say this to anybody that's suffering out there, you're not alone. Everyone on this planet is struggling with something. I mean, just mortality alone, that's going to make people struggle.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
So you're not alone. And I think sometimes strength in numbers brings a little sense of peace.
And I think action causes action in the sense that, like I said before, like if I had cancer, like whether I believe in Eastern medicine or Western medicine, I would throw everything in the kitchen sink at it. Like,
Oh, for sure.
If he wants to go talk to a medium, do it. Don't do that instead of of Western traditional medicine. Do both.
Have
Like,
you-
do everything?
Have you ever had to give somebody a death? I mean, kind of like a death sentence in a sense, where you found out or you knew, hey, I think you're really sick. Has that ever happened to you?
I've seen people that were sick, but fortunately for me, I saw them in enough time for them to go get the help they needed.
Okay.
So it turned out, a happy story.
So never where it was so
No,
grim.
I've seen not the person I was reading for, but somebody that they wanted me to see and what was going to happen to them. And yes, unfortunately, I have seen death.
Do you find it? Would you find it hard to tell somebody? Let's
very
say,
difficult.
Let's say you saw Denny's walking here, or even myself. I don't want to put that on Denny's. Let's say you saw me and you sensed that I was gonna maybe die. How would you break that? I mean, would you struggle doing that?
Well, it
Or
would
do you
be very
put that
hard.
bubble on that you're talking
No,
about?
I'd have to, especially if there were something that could be done to prevent it. Then I would feel an obligation, because if I didn't tell you and I saw it, and then you didn't go and get the help you needed, or you didn't talk to the people that you wanted to talk to before it happened, I would feel a sense of responsibility. But so far, I haven't talked to anyone who was getting ready to pass away. It was usually in respect to someone that they knew.
Have you found just by doing the podcast that you are getting some crazy shit going on? Just people asking you for some crazy.
No, they're
requests?
asking. No, they're pretty much asking what they've always asked since I've been doing this. But I have to tell you, they help me sometimes. Like we talked before the podcast that I've been having, kind of a rough time. I mean, the other day, I took my dog out and she wouldn't use the bathroom, and I just wanted to go to bed. So I brought her inside, and I'm like, why can't you just use the bathroom so I can go to sleep?
Real tears?
Yes, I'm crying because the dog would not use the bathroom.
Is that a
because-
normal action for you?
No, it's not. It's completely not. And I didn't realize that I had a reading that night. And my phone rings, and I'm like, well, who's that? And then I don't answer it. So then it goes to voicemail. I pick up, I listen to the voicemail. While I'm listening to it, she calls again. And then I'm like, oh, I totally forgot. Then she calls the third time. And I was going to pick up the phone and say, you know what? I'm really not in the right mindset for this. I picked up the phone, and I faked it. And I'm so glad I did, because that girl needed to talk to me. She needed what I had to say, and I got a gift from doing that for her.
When you say, what's up, Denny?
We got to wrap up because Virginia's trying to do her call-ins.
Oh, it's Virginia, damn it.
I was trying not to derail everything.
All right, we got to go, guys. Virginia's ruining the podcast. Real quick, Mr. Beckett, Twitter?
Beckett List.
Beckett List. Vicky?
Contact at pointparanormal.com.
Denny's?
At Producer Denny's.
And I'm at Jason Bigfoot on Twitter. Go to our Facebook, our Instagram, Weird and Whatever. We love you all, and
Bigfoot is real.
What was that? What's that sound? It's aliens and they're living in your town.